I'm just saying that we didn't need a new guy.
Feeling jealous, Herb?
You'll always be our boat, baby.
I'm not a child, and neither of you are my dad. Look, we made this place into our home. Dunk, this place is a sacred goulash of each of our secret spices, and this guy might ruin the flavor profile.
You're finally speaking my language, fancy man.
Why don't we talk to him about this?
Hey, jumpsuit.
Well, they're coveralls, but...
What's your vibe? What's home to you?
You know what really needs a home? This QN Model 3 module. I'm here to plug in this thing.
Oh, the thing! Why didn't you say so?
So, if you want to show me where the QN interaction point is, I can get that started. The place to plug in the thing?
Oh, yeah! Yeah, of course! We have no idea
what
what
the hell that
just
thing
here to
is.
cook, dude.
Home is where the heart is, and like the heart, a home needs to function properly for us to survive. For example, one function of this home is to prevent 40,000 kilopascals of furious ocean pressure from vaporizing every cell in our body in less than a second. Whether it's a research submarine, a traditional surface condo, or a flooded cave, anything can be a home as long as it serves its function.
Herbie, you lived in a cave for a bit, didn't you?
It was an okay apartment, but my roommate left salmon bones everywhere.
Nearly every country on Earth has some form of building code that lays out what specific materials, methods, and amenities any particular building should have. This includes homes, and because of this, governments actually have a lot of control over what a home looks like and where you can make your home. They do this using two main policies, a building code and a zoning code. A building code defines how to build something, and a zoning code defines where you can build something. The Canadian National Building Code establishes 5 requirements for any construction: safety, health, accessibility, fire and structural protection, and the environment. To be up to code is to meet the minimum for these 5 requirements. These things might change from place to place. A house in Canada is going to have more insulation to keep heat in during the winter, whereas a house in Colombia might be up to code if it can disperse heat. In Canada, provinces and territories have control over zoning laws, but cities also have the power to decide where you're allowed to build things within rules set out by the higher level of government. These laws were enacted because people were building whatever, wherever. Skyscrapers would be built so tall they'd block out the sun, and you'd need to keep streetlights on all day. Transit was overwhelmed to the point of collapse. Zoning laws were necessary.
Psych! Zoning laws are racist. The first zoning laws were made specifically to make housing more expensive in order to reinforce segregation. The first zoning laws in the United States were enacted in Los Angeles in 1904, banning laundries in certain parts of the city to keep Chinese people out.
Spice? No, what's your name again? Herb? Why are you sweating?
I thought I was gonna get cut off.
Can't cut off a herb from his spice, just like how a home can't be cut off from its resources. Bam! Segue. There's more to the home than just where it's built and what it's made of, but also access to resources and services. We might think of human needs as just food and water, but if you've ever lived in a neighborhood without a drugstore, you know how much of a pain it is to have to schlep out for the things you need.
Ooh.
Let's look at key access to resources by country. This is Our World in Data's heat map, showing access to electricity from country to country over time. As of 1998, over 1.5 billion people didn't have access to electricity. As of 2015, that number dropped to just 1 billion, which is an incredible change for only 15 or so years. Similarly, we can see a pattern with access to clean water from country to country. Roughly 1 in 4 people can't access a clean water source. Looking at another of Our World in Data's heat maps, we can see a distinct overlap between freshwater scarcity and electrical scarcity. However, it ain't just about access to clean water, but easy access to clean water.
By and large, women and girls bear the responsibility of collecting and distributing water to households, and long travel times for this key resource not only exposes them to violence, but also prevents them from dedicating that time to their education, economic autonomy, and political sovereignty.
Oof, now there's a need if I ever saw one, but these days the internet is also kind of a key need. 20 years back, little Jay wouldn't have had an eye if he saw a house that only had one access point to the internet, the fabled family computer. But nowadays, I don't know, it'd be pretty weird to not tell someone what the Wi-Fi password of your place was.
What's Wi-Fi?
Not only that, but many jobs don't even really take paper resumes anymore. The internet is a major barrier to even just applying for a job.
As of 2017, only about half the world's population had access to the internet. But times are a-changin'. On any day in the last 5 years, 640,000 folks got online for the first time. That's a change of 27,000 people per hour.
Homes have needs, just like us, but sometimes a need isn't actually a need, but just something we've gotten so used to that it feels like a need. Like, I don't need running water because our home's home is water, but I do need dough to make bread.
Super close, buddy. Let's rap about homonyms and saltwater after this. Point is, we need to know the difference between living good and living good enough.
And don't forget that not only does the government control where we can make our home and what we can make our home of, they're responsible to the people to build and maintain infrastructure that provides access to the things that make a home livable.
Welcome to the crew quarters.
What's all this garbage doing here?
That's not garbage, it's culture.
Can we put all this culture somewhere else, please?
No, I'll read Colleen Hoover before I let dead jumpsuit apparatus colonize my space.
I'm not colonizing anything. I have to sleep somewhere. If anything, you're colonizing the bottom bunk.
Do you feel like a man now?
Colonization is a fraught subject when it comes to home and what a home can be to different people. Looking at access to water and electricity, it's obvious to anyone that Central and Southern Africa is disproportionately without access. The cynical
And racist.
take is that Africa is a poor continent, as if there's something about the land that prevents the accumulation of wealth. But that ignores hundreds of years of European colonization and that there are places in wealthy countries that similarly do not have access to basic necessities. Let's look at water again. Even communities in Canada, the country with literally the most renewable fresh water on Earth, struggle to access clean, potable water.
Attawapiskat, a northern Ontario town on the edge of the Hudson Bay, hasn't had clean water for bathing, cooking, and drinking since at least 2011. Heather Ringrose, a doctor who served Attawapiskat for years, said, "There are homes that don't have running water. They use buckets for waste, and there's a high incidence of diabetes even in youth. We see necrotic limbs and toes." One of the many Attawapiskat First Nation chiefs who took power during the crisis, Sylvia Kustachin Medidawabin, called on the Canadian government to reevaluate its approach to the community. Their traditional territories spanned over 45,000 hectares, but today spans only about 129? I don't know how to do math, but that doesn't add up. With no support to move their water treatment plant, the solution for the community's water issues proposed way back in 2011, nothing's gonna change.
Yep, that's informative, no doubt. I still need a bunk though.
Good luck with that, romper stiltskin.
Why are you attacking my fit like this?
Here's the kitchen. Dunk, you spend the most time here. Do you want to take the honors?
Okay, well, it's a bit messy from lunch, so bear with me. Home is where the heart is, and my heart's love language is preparing good meals for the people I care about, so that we may survive the harsh and unforgiving winter that's taken so many before us.
Aw, Dunk. Love you too, buddy.
Love is a strong word. I like you more than I like my actual dad. Does that count?
It counts if you wanted to, big guy. But even the idea of what a family is changes from place to place and person to person. There's nuclear families, single-parent families, multi-generational households, and blended families, just to name a few. Wait, multi-generational? What are you talking about, you handsome genius? Great question, Dunk. Most of us know the nuclear family gist. Ma, pa, a couple of cubs. Some might say it's normal. Others might say it's a relic of an imaginary past where a single earner could support 3 other people.
Well, if you're rich, that's still an option. The nuclear family is often associated with 1, American culture, and 2, the rise of the atomic bomb in the mid to late 20th century. But there's evidence that can place nuclear families in cultures much older. It has been found that the nuclear family was the dominant family structure even as far back as 13th century England. This wasn't necessarily the case in Southern Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. The nuclear family also isn't actually referencing the atomic bombs or energy, but instead referring to the nucleus. The kernel, pit, center, or axle. The mother, father, and children are the core or nucleus of a larger family.
A single-parent family is what it sounds like. One caregiver raising 1 or more children. A multi-generational family includes children, parents, grandparents, and other members of an extended family. Sometimes parents aren't around, and aunts, uncles, or grandparents fulfill the caregiver role for the children. Blended families are created when 2 adults with children from other relationships pair up and merge a household of unrelated children.
though there might be side effects of unconventional families. In a paper entitled Care of Diverse Families, Single-Parent, Multi-Generational, and Blended Families, Benjamin Silverberg, MD, says that the data shows that children in these families may be at a higher risk of substance abuse, unsafe sex, mental illness, and obesity. But he concludes, arguing that there are probably other factors influencing that data aside from the shape of one's family. For example, a child raised by a single parent might be at higher risk for drug use if the single parent is out often earning for the household, but that's a financial pressure, not specific to unconventional family dynamics. A low-income nuclear family would experience the same issues.
I guess what a family looks like changes from place to place, but if in North America the nuclear family is the norm, then why does it matter that other places are doing things differently?
Yeah, monocultures are kind of bad, generally. Think about it. Having only one version of anything for everyone forever is kind of limiting, right? That's like cooking every meal with one ingredient. We need diverse homes for diverse families in a diverse world. Sorry if I got too political for you, planet Earth.
Well, that's not even political. That's just a fact. Calgary, a city in Alberta, Canada, has seen what some would call a mini boom in homes built specifically to accommodate multi-generational families, largely for a growing Indian population. At first, they were confined to just 2 neighborhoods, but the popularity of these homes is growing. What sets them apart from normal detached-style single-family homes is that they either have a basement apartment with a fully loaded kitchen, or they add a main-floor bedroom and bathroom.
Oh, so Indians like multi-generational living?
It's ingrained in their culture.
It was thought for a long time that urbanization, economic growth, and increased access to education would slowly erode the institution. However, this doesn't seem to be true. Etienne Breton of Cornell University noted that since the beginning of the 20th century, when the nuclear family was becoming the norm in North America, there hasn't been any significant change to the average household size in India. An incredible 80% of elderly widows and widowers live with their children. In fact, the vast majority of nuclear households are only created when a son sets up a new household before his father's death. When his father does pass away, his widow almost always moves in with her son, creating a new multi-generational family.
It takes a village, you know?
That's what I'm talking about. Home for many cultures isn't just a single hive, but a community of busy bees. Honey. You'll see that happen in North American indigenous cultures with the caretaker roles outside of mother and father, specifically the auntie.
Hold up, I've got an auntie, and let me tell you, Linda can barely take care of herself, so it's not funny at all. Actually, she's really struggling.
Well, sure, that's one kind of aunt, a parent's struggling sister, but we're specifically talking about the relationship that young indigenous folks have with older women members of their communities. Heather Bjorklund, an educator and comedian from Fisher River Cree Nation, said that she believes aunties to be almost like your second mom, but they're the mom that you tell your secrets to, that you wouldn't dare tell your real mom.
I kinda had that growing up. My uncle wasn't related to me, but he was my father's best friend. So I told him the things I didn't want my family to know. Like where I hid the small fortune I stole from that orphanage on my father's behest, to give back to the rich, you know. Now that I think about it, my uncle was a cop.
Aunties aren't usually something you become naturally. It's something you're declared. It's easy to be an aunt or an uncle. You just need to have a sibling who had a baby. But for an auntie, you have to be chosen. Sonia Ballantine, a filmmaker from Winnipeg, writes about her relationship to her creative partner and their son. She says that when his mother called me his auntie, my heart exploded into 1,000 pieces because I had never been an auntie in that way to somebody. It's an honored position that I never thought I would have. This relationship isn't exclusive to North American indigenous cultures, but exists across the planet in different forms and names. Ballantine continues, saying, "It crosses boundaries, because I was called Tia Sonia by a Filipino coworker once to her daughter, and I found out that meant aunt, and I was like, that is so cool."
You're kind of like my Uncle Dunk.
Aw, I'm your Uncle Dunkle.
Yeah, and it works perfectly because all of my actual uncles are divorced too.
And so we come to the end of our tour. Did you find a place to plug in the thing?
No, you showed me a bed that I couldn't sleep in, and then the kitchen, and now we're back at the bed that I apparently can't even have.
Well, you'll have plenty of opportunities to find it now that this is your new home.
God, fine. I'll move my stuff into my office and you can have the bunk.
You know what? Thank you. I appreciate... Wait, did you say you have an office? No, but seriously, what is this?
It's my office.
Okay, well, maybe we can start by moving the desk out into the corridor, then I can get at the reactor port.
Oh, that's never gonna happen.
Dude, what is your problem?
No, I mean, I would move it, but...
I have to ask, how did you even get it in here?
You know that prank where you disassemble a car piece by piece so you can put it somewhere weird?
Yeah?
Imagine that, except you put a desk inside your car.
One thing about home is that there never seems to be enough of it to go around. High rental prices, housing costs, the tragic reality that is homelessness. But home isn't just a roof and some leaky pipes. It's the land, too. How do folks who live and benefit from past atrocities reconcile their relationship to the land and the people to whom the land once belonged? Well, it's complicated. But in the end, we're all people. And sometimes, home is the people you share it with.